You know I've traveled near and far, see the shining sea. I've seen a lot of places and people that were nice to me. One place that's in my heart, and this is how I feel. I'm talking about my hometown, Fayetteville. She's nestled in the sand hills on a river called Cape Fear. Special to so many who proudly served our country here. She was named for Lafayette and known for cotton mills. I'm talking about my hometown, Fayetteville. My hometown, Fayetteville. I'm so proud to be from here. It don't take long when you're away from home to find out how you feel. It's always good to come home to Fayetteville. Babe Ruth hit his first one, heard around the world. Sherman marched with the Union and burned the arsenal. Old Market House still standing, but stands for freedom's will. I'm talking about my hometown, Fayetteville. My hometown, Fayetteville. I'm so proud to be from here. It don't take long when you're away from home to find out how you feel. It's always good to come home to Fayetteville. My all-American city, Fayetteville. Talking about my hometown, Fayetteville.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Monday, January 14th, 2019 Fayetteville City Council meeting. These mics are kind of loud, so our audio people, if you can make an adjustment to that or no. Mr. Manager, yes? All right. We'd like to welcome you. Happy New Year's to all of you. It's our first meeting of the new year. I'd like to also especially recognize my mother. It's her birthday today, so I want to wish her a happy birthday if you're watching, Mom. All right, so at this time, we'll ask that Mike Ramos, Small Groups Director for Manor Church, if you could come to the podium. We ask that all would rise for the invocation, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. How you doing, sir?
How you doing? Good evening. Let's pray. Father God, we love you, Lord. Jesus, we just are so grateful for who you are, Lord, and for your sacrifice. Lord, we ask that you would be here among us. Lord, that you would bless us with your presence here today. Lord, as we come together, Lord, in your name to serve our community, to serve our city, Lord, and to do your will. We ask that, Holy Spirit, that you would be here among us and that your presence and your will, Lord, would work through us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ramos, you mind telling us about your ministry at Manor? I know you all do a lot for the community.
Sure, yeah, it definitely is a blessing to be part of the community and to be part of Manor. Manor Church is definitely very focused in outreach. We've had the pleasure of serving our community in various different facets through some outreaches at Terra Gardens and Hollywood Heights. So we housed a shelter during the hurricane, and we believe that outreach is the heartbeat of the church, so we definitely have a heart for that. If anybody would like to sign up for outreach or any further information, they can visit the website manna.church.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you joining us tonight. At this time, I will defer to Councilmember Jensen to introduce a special guest joining us tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to introduce Harmony. Harmony is from Jack Brett High School, and she is, I think this is your third time with us up here at the diocese. So I'm going to turn it over to Harmony.
Hello, I'm Harmony Granderson. I'm the Community Service Chair for the Fayetteville Cumberland Youth Council. The Fayetteville Cumberland Youth Council is trailblazing in the new year, and we are excited for what's ahead. Back at the office, we have our different communities working very hard on our upcoming events. This year, we are excited to be extending Kindness Matters to a week. Our anti-litter team is working on an April team cleanup day and many other initiatives to get the community involved. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Councilmember Jensen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to tell everyone about our cafe conversations that are going to be taking place Thursday, January 17th, 2019. I can't believe it's a new year. From 6 o'clock to 8:30 at the Smith Recreation Center. That is 1520 Slater Avenue. This is an opportunity to provide input into the city's strategic plan. Registration is limited to 80 participants. And to be able to do that, please call the city at 910-433-1474 or email ci.fay.nc.us to register. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And just a quick note on the Cafe Conversations. The city of Fayetteville is recognized nationally for communication with its citizens. Cafe Conversations was a major reason why we were voted as the most innovative city in the country in that category. And so, citizens, we need you. This is a partnership. All of our community watch groups, all of our neighborhoods, all of you who come out every day and help us make the city a better place. It starts with a conversation, and we need you at the Cafe Conversations. So please try to join us for that. At this time, I will ask that the beautiful ladies in the red hats, if you all could meet us at the podium at this time, and Councilmember Wright and I will come down and fellowship with you.
As everyone's coming to the podium, have a few things here to read about the Ebony Red Hatters. The Ebony Red Hatters participate in community events, activities. They enjoy giving back, providing support, and active involvement with the great city of Fayetteville. The Ebony Red Hatters has a consistent great history and track record of participating in several community events on a regular basis. A few of the many community activities that the Ebony Red Hatters have participated in and have scheduled to continue to do so for 2019 are as followed. Donating items such as clothing, food, blanket, socks, and financial donations to various charity organizations. The Ebony Red Hatters members form a team to walk together and represent their chapter to support worthy causes that impact the Fayetteville community while also promoting a positive, healthy lifestyle of exercise in numerous community walks. They visit of supports to several area nursing homes, youth support through reading programs, donated school supplies, and mentoring students to promote reading at schools. Women's empowerment. The Red Hatters hosted a state conference in Fayetteville, North Carolina in 2016, and Fayetteville, North Carolina is going to be the hosting city for the Red Hatters North Carolina State Conference in March 2019. Mayor Colvin.
Christmas events, and I saw all the engagement, the excitement Fayetteville, North Carolina, Certificate of Excellence, presented to Ebony Red Hatters. Fayetteville Chapter 41652. For 20 years of dedication to the community service and to the encouragement of women over 50. We are truly inspired by the outstanding commitment to our great city of history, heroes, and hometown feeling. Signed, the Honorable Mayor Mitch Colvin and City Councilman District 7, Larry Wright. Let's give them a hand. I asked the Queen if she wanted to say any words. She said no. Congratulations. 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 Great job. Congratulations. God bless you.
Thank you so much.
At this time, we'd like to have Pete and Kelly Twindle join us at the podium from the Fayetteville Dream Center and Five Sparrows, and have a proclamation from the Office of Mayor. Whereas human trafficking is exploitive buying and selling of human beings and their services, and whereas human trafficking violates the most basic human rights and deprives victims of their dignity and freedom, and whereas Fayetteville is committed to protecting its vulnerable citizens and ending human trafficking through local prevention, prosecution, protection, and partnership, and whereas organizations in Fayetteville like Five Sparrows and the Fayetteville Dream Center work tirelessly to assist those who have fallen prey to human traffickers, and whereas laws in North Carolina have been strengthened to prevent and bring awareness on all forms of labor and sex trafficking, whereas it is critical for families and individuals to learn and recognize the risks and threats traffickers use to manipulate their victims into labor and or sex trafficking. And now, therefore, I, Mayor Colvin, Mayor of the City of Fayetteville, North Carolina, and on behalf of the City Council and more than 208,000 citizens, do hereby honorably proclaim the month of January in the year of 2019 in honor of Human Trafficking Awareness Month. We need to keep the mayor down there one more time. Oh, we have a series of certificates of excellence being presented by Mayor Colvin, and this is presented to the Fay Fix-It top 25 users for their outstanding utilization of the Fay Fix-It reporting system and their commitment to the betterment of our community. And I have a list of names here. Hopefully the certificates are in the same order. First one, Mr. Bruce Arnold. Ms. Crystal Campbell. Mr. Jonathan Danilak. Mr. Lamont DeBerry. Ms. Linda Fujimoto. Mr. Thomas Gagnon. Okay. Mr. Doug Hewitt. Mr. Duncan Hubbard, not here. Mr. Mike Karaman. Miss Michelle Lindo. Miss Priscilla Londbaum. Oh, Mr. Alan Maggio. Mr. Jeff Morin. Mr. Alan Pulver. Ms. Kathleen Rupert. Ms. Matoya Scott. I've got like 6 more names, but the only one I see standing up there is Miss Andrea Tebby. Let's see. Mr. Paul Taylor in the audience. Mr. Joseph Torregrosa. Jackie Tucky. Where is she? She's way back there. Uh-oh. A council member, Tisha Waddell.
I think I'm gonna hold hers like Doug's.
Oh, he didn't get a hug from her. Okay, 2 more names. I have Mr. Marion Wilson. No? Retired. Oh, Mr. Bruce Woolard. And that's the list of names I have, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Any words? There's nothing.
Mayor, if I might, I want to thank the council for this recognition for the top 25 users. Fix-It is an application that we designed to go on mobile phones, both Android and iPhone.
Man.
It allows our citizens, when they're out in their neighborhood, either taking walks or riding along, to help us make our community better. They can report code violations, street signs which are down, potholes, dead animals, and just any number of things on Fix-It. It is available for download for free on both the Android as well as on the Apple Store. More information is available on the city's website, but again, we hope to bring this to council at least twice a year. And we want to do some neighborhood competitions as well with our community watch groups to see how many of the community watch groups can help us identify issues in their own neighborhood. So thank you again for this recognition.
Thank you. And again, citizens, we know that mobile phones, almost everyone has it. So download the Fayetteville app for Fix-It. We can communicate with you. Also, the City of Fayetteville's app, and that'll help us with the communication. Again, this is a partnership. So thank you, Mr. Hewitt, and all of you for your efforts. I would also like to recognize Cumberland County Commissioner Marshall Faircloth, Vice Chairman. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us this evening. Council, as we move forward to item 5.0 is the approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So be it, Mr. Mayor.
The second by Dawkins.
All right, there's a motion by Councilmember Wright, second by Councilmember Dawkins, who is joining us by phone. Council, any discussion on the motion that's on the floor? All right, if not, I'll look to you for votes for approval of the agenda.
Dawkins, Green.
All right, Madam Clerk, that is unanimous with Mr. Dawkins Green. All right, council, item 6.0, the consent agenda. I will defer to Councilmember Wardell. I think we have her light. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor Colvin. I would like to pull item 6.02 for discussion.
Okay, it's pull of item 6.02. Councilmember Art.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to pull items 6.07 and 6.08 and 6.0. I'm sorry, Mr. Crisp, are you going to point? Okay, 6.07, but I'm going to defer to Crisp on that. 6.08 and 6.09 for discussion.
Okay, so Councilmember Art is pulling items 6.08 and 9. And Councilmember Crisp, I see your light, I think. 6.07. All right, any other items, council, that you would like to hold for separate discussion? All right, so we're asking that the agenda be approved with the exception of items 6.02, 6.07, 6.08, and 6.09. So entertain a motion to approve with those modifications.
I'll make a motion to approve that with those modifications as stated.
Thank you, Councilmember Culleton, and seconded by Councilmember Wright. Any discussion on the motion to approve the agenda with those exceptions? All right, council, I'll look to you for votes.
Dawkins, Green.
Madam Clerk, that is unanimous, including Mr. Dawkins. All right, item 6.02, Councilmember Wardell.
Thank you, Mayor Colvin. If a member of staff could come up, the reason that I've asked for this item to be pulled is because as a part of the Gateways Committee, there's been much discussion about how we will define a gateway. And that discussion is very important because it guides the improvement that you see along those areas. And so if you will just, thank you, Mr. Gibson, if you will just walk us through the gateways that we've selected and some of the improvements that have been seen thus far, and give an explanation as to how we came upon the definition that we will be voting to put in place this evening.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. What you have in front of you is a quick PowerPoint. And what has happened is the definition is what we're asking you to approve this evening. And it comes from trying to improve the quality of life, the improvement in what the city looks like. And the Gateway Committee has been working for the past 3 to 4 years to make sure that those improvements happen periodically as the budget allows. And what you have is some new signage that we're asking you to, that the Gateway Committee has already approved, and the definition of what a gateway is. We want to just talk about the signs that we've already put up, which is on Bragg Boulevard, Highway 301, Highway 24, Murkison Road, Ramsey Street, and Rayford Road. You can see from the sign those major gateway entrances that the Gateway Committee has chosen, and there are 6 that are in now, and then there are 3 to come. And this is the map that we hope that you approve where those signs are at. There's always been a conception or a misconception of what the gateways are and what a corridor is. And what I wanted to make sure when you get to the definition of what the gateway is versus what a corridor improvement is, it's the length of what we're talking about. And you can see that length that's happened on Ramsey Street, Bragg Boulevard, that's happening on Legion Road, that's getting ready to happen out on Bragg Boulevard, on Rayford Road. The length that DOT with the improvements in the mediums with the grass and the trees going down. So these are corridor improvements versus a gateway improvement. And that definition of a gateway is 1/4 mile from a major intersection will be recommended to define the term gateway. We have 3 more signs to come that are in the asterisk, which is Hope Mills Road, Legion Road, and North Carolina 87 coming in from the east. These, oh God. Let me start all over again. I'm sorry. These are what the signs look like. Rayford Road, Murkison Road, Ramsey Street, and Bragg Boulevard. Those are the new signs that the Gateway Committee approved. Those are the 2 new ones that we had up in the past 3 to 4 months, the Highway 301 and 24. Then this is how they look at night. And that's the PowerPoint. So what we're looking for is that definition to be approved by council. of what a gateway is. And this is what we've been working on with the Gateway Committee over the past 3 years.
Okay.
Do that justice, Ms. Waddell? Councilmember Waddell?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Now, I do wish to point out that it is very important that we do differentiate between the corridor and the gateway,
Yes, ma'am.
because there's much discussion about what's happening along the corridors, but as a member of the Gateway Committee, we have to be very clear in what our objective is so that we are in line with how to utilize the dollars that have been allocated.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you for this presentation. I think that it's really nice for people to see those signs lit up, and them during the day. They're really nice identifiers for welcoming people into our city.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Gibson, good job. We're getting there. As long as we get all those, the burgundy ones that I don't care for particularly, I'll put it out.
They're coming down, sir. They're coming down. Hopefully over the next 90 days, we'll have the rest of them up, and then all the rest of the old ones go. You see, I didn't put that in the PowerPoint.
I see that. Thank you, sir.
All righty.
All right, so council, we need a motion to approve item 6.02.
Mayor.
Councilmember Waddell?
Mayor Colvin, I make a motion that we approve item 6.02.
Second, Dawkins.
All right, there's a motion by Councilmember Waddell and a second by Councilmember Dawkins. Is there any discussion? No, sir. Okay, any discussion on the motion? No, sir. Yeah, all right. All right, Council, I look to you for your votes.
Green, Dawkins.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. That's unanimous from all those present. We'd like to also acknowledge the other members of the Gateway Committee who's been working very hard. Councilmember Harris, the chair, Councilmember Jensen, as well as Councilmember Waddell. Thank you for your hard work. And we'd like to also acknowledge our super colleague on the phone who has joined us after quadruple bypass. Is that right, Councilmember Dawkins?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Quadruple bypass on the 28th of December. Yes, sir.
We've got the toughest council members in the state. Remember that. So thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Item 6.07, Councilmember Chris.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to pull this because I did not want this to go the normal route on the consent agenda of being approved. This, for the listeners and those present, is a motion for the renaming of the Cross Creek Linear Park Trail in honor of Mr. Harry F. Shaw. And I just thought it appropriate that the mayor or someone say something about the 25 years or more that Mr. Shaw put into this project and other things that he did for this city. At this time, I yield to our honorable mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Crisp. And certainly, on behalf of the council, we have a couple of heroes that we are acknowledging their contribution to the city on tonight. Mr. Shaw is one that worked tirelessly over Linear Park over 25 years, which is a quarter of a century, with his efforts for the improvement of this city that we are yet reaping the benefits of. And so tonight, to show homage to Mr. Shaw, who passed away back in May of 2019, we would like to name this park after him, which is so fitting of the efforts that him and his family put forth in making Fayetteville a better place. And so thank you, Councilmember Chris, for that acknowledgement and allowing council to do so. Councilmember Harris, you had a comment?
Just a small comment. I've worked quite a bit with Mr. Shaw, but as I was telling my colleague here, this is one of the only organizations that have come together that have raised their own money, and not $1 from the city. So thumbs up to the organization and to Mr. Shaw.
Dawkins had a comment, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I also want to let the people know that Harry Shaw served our city on the city council from 1965 until 1975. Now, many of you on council weren't born at that time, but Sergeant Major Crisp and I were. And and Mr. Shaw, of course, spent over 30 years at Fayetteville Tech with the foundation, and he did so many things besides this linear park. And I'm thrilled that our city is going to name our linear park in honor and memory of Harry Shaw. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
May I make a motion, sir?
Thank you. Okay, I think Mayor Pro Tem, and then I'll come to you for a motion.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank the Linear Park Corporation for bringing this forward, for our decision tonight. Thank you for that, the entire group's effort, and no doubt, Mr. Shaw, integral part for 25 years.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Chris?
Are there any members of that committee present this evening, the Linear Park? Mr. Mayor, it is with humility and a great deal of pleasure and pride that you give me the honor of moving to name or to rename the Cross Creek Linear Park Trail in honor of Mr. Harry F. Shaw, citizen extraordinaire.
I second that, sir.
That's a motion by Councilmember Chris. There's a second by Councilmember Hare. Any further discussion on the motion? All right, Council, we'll look to you for votes.
Dawkins, Green.
Madam Clerk, that is unanimous. Those present, good job, Council, and thank you to the Shaw family. Item 6.08, also, is that Councilmember Art?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. And I want to thank the council, specifically Mayor Colvin and Mr. Crisp. We did a joint council action memo on this action, and that is to recognize a true Fayetteville hero, a statesman, and that's former Mayor Bill Hurley, who went on to glory back in November of this past year. Mayor Hurley was a 3-term mayor for the city of Fayetteville. He was also the mayor when we won the first All-American City designation, and he went on to serve 6 times in the General Assembly representing our community. But the thing he'll be most remembered for is the renaissance that he brought to downtown Fayetteville, the transformation of Hay Street. And for all of us who were here post Lafayette, Bill, for those of us who were here post Lafayette, we can remember what it used to be like, the Vietnam era look of, Jeff, you remember the Vietnam era look of Hay Street. And Mayor Hurley was instrumental in making that transition. And he was the champion that led the city in doing that. And so there's no greater way, I think, that we can honor his legacy than to take the opportunity. And by the way, he was a really big baseball fan, Mr. Arnold. He loved baseball. And so it's a great opportunity for us to honor his legacy in naming the plaza for the new baseball stadium as you enter into the stadium after former Mayor Hurley. So what we would like to do is to set a public hearing for that event, and we hope the public will come out and participate in that as we seek to honor this great statesman.
Thank you, Councilmember Arp, and you summed it up. This is, the least we can do to show homage to someone who contributed so much to the success that we enjoy today. And so as we are enjoying the new stadium and the economic benefits and how Hay Street looks today compared, we certainly thank Mayor Hurley for his efforts. So that's a motion on your behalf, sir?
So moved.
Okay, and the second by Councilmember Wright. Any discussion on the motion to set the public hearing? All right, Council, I'll look to you for votes.
Dawkins, Green.
Madam Clerk, that too is unanimous.
Who was the second?
Second was Councilmember Wright.
Right.
Thank you. Item 6.09, Councilmember Art.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I just would like to take a moment for us to have some discussion. And if I may, is the representative from PwC here this evening? Mr. Brown not here?
He's always here.
So maybe someone from the staff, Mr. Hewitt. The question I have is in regard to the Tex-Fi resolution that we're proposing going to the General Assembly. Thank you, Mr. Whitfield. So the concern that I have is in the resolution, the way we have it stated, and I'm gonna have to go back to it now because I switched out of it. We've got it stated where we don't discuss specifically any kind of cost. And so my concern is, as I understand it, with the Tex-Fi site, we need to have a pilot or some type of testing activities to determine the extent and what the potential remediation action should be. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's going to have a cost associated with it. And then based off of that testing and then a remedial recommendation that'll be made, there'll be a cost with the actual remediation of the soils or contamination. I think in the past we've tried some different things, but we won't know that cost until we do the pilot testing. Is that correct?
Councilmember, that is correct, yes.
Okay. So the suggestion I would make, Mr. Mayor, is instead of leaving this so open-ended, I think leaving it this open-ended, when it goes to the General Assembly, we run the risk of an easy no, or if they just don't pay any attention to it, because nobody knows what the cost will be, and they're not going to sign up for that. I think what we do is we just modify it simply to state that that the council supports and advocates for funding for a pilot testing activity or activities of the Text-5 site to determine the best remediation approach and associated cost. And then that way, and if we can get an actual figure from PwC on what the test cost would be, I think it would be appropriate to ask for a specific amount.
So staff, are you clear with the modifications that you all could make and forward this on if this motion carries?
Yes, sir, we can grab the comments made by council and modify that resolution. And if adopted, we will we'll be able to modify that before we send it to Raleigh.
Okay. All right. So is that a motion, sir?
So, Mr. Mayor, with that, I would move that we adopt item 6.9, adoption of the legislative priorities, council resolutions for 2019 North Carolina General Assembly, with the amendment to the Text-5 resolution as I stated.
Okay. Mr. Manager, you had, there was a second by Councilmember Jensen. Did you have some input, sir?
Yes, sir. I thought upstairs there may be other questions about other resolutions.
I think it got worked out.
Thank you.
Yeah. So there was a motion by Councilmember Art. It was a second by Councilmember Jensen. Okay. Any discussion on the motion? All right, Council, I look to you for.
Dawkins Green.
Madam Clerk, that's unanimous, sir.
Will we see the modification before it in the form of a resolution?
Certainly, we can make that, before I sign it, I'll make sure we run it by you.
Thank you, sir.
It's reflective.
Just want to see it.
Okay. All right. Council item, I think that was all of the consent. Item 7.01, presentation by the Airport Commission. How are you, sir?
Great. How about yourself?
Good.
Down here. I don't know where it was loaded in the.
You really need to tell me that.
While we have a pause here, and I wanted to do this during the announcements, Mr. Mayor, and I just forgot to get it to you. It's flu season, and if you haven't had a flu shot, you need to go get a flu shot. If you haven't been talking to folks around the community, it's really starting to pick up steam. So we would certainly encourage you to check with your provider and go get a flu shot at your earliest convenience. It's important so that you're protected, but also that you protect your loved one, especially those who are very young or those who are elderly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Not sure.
You want to do the work session from last week? No.
All right.
All right, sorry for the technical difficulties, but good evening, Mayor, City Council, and citizens, giving an annual report for the Airport Commission. Switch over. All right, the following report summarizes all of the accomplishments of the Airport Commission throughout the past year and a brief overview of the things coming up. Next slide. We have a great group of citizens that make up the Airport Commission, as you see on the list. We have a huge capital project undertaking at this moment. Phase 1 began in November 2017 with a completion date of July 2019. Phase 1 is valued at $19 million. Phase 2 scheduled to be funded in August of 2019 and start construction hopefully by November of 2019. Phase 2 should be in excess of $20 million. Thanks. And then part of the renovations that are undertaking is a new restaurant operator. Tradewinds, who is the new food and beverage operator, took over operations as of November 28, 2018. Headquartered in Wilmington, operates 23 non-hub airport locations. 9 months before completion of the new restaurant operations, they've converted the old vending area on Concourse B to a food and gift oasis, open from 4:30 in the morning to 8 p.m. During the transition, phase food and beverage is available pre-security from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And in addition to the new restaurant spaces, Tradewind plans to expand services and additional menu offerings. Another opportunity that has been undertaken by the airport is a new marketing specialist. She's expanded the social media aspect and providing positive feedback from social media on the new renovations that are currently taking place. To help with the marketing with the airport, the Facebook, Twitter followers, all of that has increased, and we're also revamping the website to a more modern visual for folks to hopefully come to. A couple of examples of the visual as far as the local billboard, print ads, and social media posts. And we've got community engagement with the media coordinator. We're getting into the community to help citizens recognize the flexibility and the ease of transport that we have through the Fayetteville Airport versus going through other markets. Through the local schools, we're doing school tours. The airport performed 10 tours for local area school systems to educate the public on airport operations and promote awareness. During the recent hurricanes, the airport serves as a critical node during disasters and relief operations, regionally and statewide. Past years with the hurricane relief efforts for Hurricane Florence and Michael. Also, efforts included operations Airdrop, where supplies were consolidated at Fayetteville and flown to the coastal communities. The Snowball Express Mayor Pro Tem Ted Moan and Councilmember Dan Culleton greeted and spoke to the Gold Star families before their trip to Disney World in Florida. In 2018, the USO and the Fayetteville Regional Airport serviced approximately 30,000 customers, and the mayor's greeting is presented every 2 hours. Going back to the airline services, so this is based on a 5-year average. American Airlines is averaging around 195,408 total passengers with 16 flights in and out per day. Delta Airlines is averaging 179,078 total passengers with 12 flights in and out per day. United Airlines has an average of 53,051 total passengers with 6 flights in and out per day. A airline consultant was hired in June of 2018 to review the current airline lineup and to see how the airport can attract new carriers. Another area that the airport is working with Fayetteville EDC to target program of work accomplishment, high priority development goals focused on increasing investment and economic development in and around the airport, expanding marketing efforts to include site-specific recruitment package, enhanced marketing materials, and proactive outreach through the EDC. And in a recent press release, North Carolina Division of Aviation stated that in 2018, the Fayetteville Airport impact was $284 million. In closing, we understand that the airport needs to do a better job in customer service and basic airport functions. Once a list of recommendations are provided by the council to the airport, the commission, in conjunction with the airport staff, will make as many of the items a reality as possible. Thank you for the hearing.
Thank you, sir. I do have a couple of questions. Councilmember Hare?
Mr. Chairman, thank you for the report, and I do agree we still have a whole lot that we need to do to improve and bring folk into our airport. Many years ago, there were conversations about the extending of our runway. The conversation was for some of our carriers. I haven't heard much of that anymore when we look at talking like Federal Express or UPS, and one of the concerns was because of the length of our runway. Has that been a part of any kind of discussions? Is it still an interest there as far as economic development for us?
I'll take that, sir. The master plan addresses length of runway that the airport is required, and the FAA bases that on forecasts of current users, which is primarily the airlines in terms of size aircraft. So those size aircraft that the airlines are predicting to utilize justifies extensions or not. Currently, the 7,700 feet that we have is sufficient to land 737 narrow-body aircraft, and there's no justification because the airlines use aircraft within that envelope and below.
So then are you saying, then has it been any conversation? Is that something that a part of our marketing that we, since you're saying that we're...
It's always a part of the conversation with the FAA when we do a master plan. The final master plan is being reviewed by the FAA, and we expect it out in the next few months. And there were conversations about runway length in there, but it's based on the criteria that they provide us, which I just described to you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Chris?
Mr. Whiting and Chairman Dr. Prater, y'all didn't tell anybody how much general funds you do not use or do use in our airport operation. I think it's commendable for you to let the public know that you're self-sufficient out there. How much money do we give you out of general fund?
Well, let's see. Actually, the airport, since it's been self-sufficient in '94, has been no tax dollars, either property tax or sales tax, since 1994, so I'd say zero.
In other words, we don't give you anything. It's the point I wanted to make, that the airport is self-sufficient and that you normally generate enough revenue to handle your operations, and you get grants from federal and state and all, and so we're moving ahead. Thank you so much. Mr. Whiting, how long have you been out there?
I'm working on 23 years come August.
Thank you so much for your service. Thank you, sir, and the other members of the Airport Commission for what you do to make sure that the airport is moving smoothly and is generating their own revenue. Thank you.
Mr.
I'd
Mayor?
point out that, I'm sorry, but Gene Vance is our vice chairman. He's here tonight as well.
Okay, so I did have a couple of questions before we let you go. So, Mr. Nanish, you hit a couple of things that I was listening for. One is we acknowledge that we can grow it, or need to grow it, and can do more. So thank you for that. And because you can never get to a point where you think that you can't make improvements and you stop listening to your customers. And so we talked about this extensively in the work session the other day, so I won't replow that ground. But what I would like to say is, as your marketing person looks to market, Twitter followers and Facebook followers don't necessarily mean people coming to use your airport. I think the advantage that we have over Raleigh, particularly for say the business community, is convenience, and there's some value in convenience. That you have to drive hour and a half, you have to deal with traffic, you have to take your flight. When you come back in, you have to drive an hour and a half back. So, are we marketing the convenience of flying here? So, shorter lines. Are we marketing our average wait times are shorter and those kinds of things? We're in a southeast region which has been designated for whatever reason as a Tier 1 area, okay? And so also affordability. And so as we look at it, what I hear people say is it was cheaper for me to go to Raleigh. And so what are we looking to fit the market that we have? If you have a market and your customer base spends on this level, what are we doing to show and attract and promote the affordability of Fayetteville and the carriers that do it? Because, part of my concern was that, we were the largest area with only 2 destinations available. Mm-hmm. So when will the consultant have something tangible that can tell us what his plan is to push this forward, and when can we expect the execution of that plan?
Well, I haven't got the specific date from him. I would think in the next 3 to 4 months he should be done with it, and we'll be able to finalize a plan moving forward. And we'll share some of our specific advertising which addresses our convenience and short lines and so forth. We'll send that down through the city.
Thank you, guys. Right. Council, any more questions for? Thank you. All right. Thank you. Item 7.02, Annual Report, Joint Appearance Commission. Hello, sir.
Hello. Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Johnny Lanthorn. Tonight's my last night.
Oh.
I'm stepping down. It's been 10 years. It's time to move on. And hopefully I can open this up. There we go. So please bear with me. This is our annual report. A few things, just a little background on joint appearance commissions, and we have the Fayetteville Tree Board serves with us. There's 4 members of those folks that serve on there. Just to give you a slight summary of the activities during 18, we've got some photos from our Arbor Day celebration we had at E.E. Miller, and Councilmember Wright joined us that cold, windy March day. We appreciate that. And some photos from the Appearance Awards program. Well, the purpose of the Joint Appearance Commission is to promote the enhancement of the appearance of the community. and established in 2004 when various jurisdictions in Cumberland County adopted an interlocal agreement. The agreement was authorized by state law. Prior to 2004, the city had its own appearance commission. It works real well just having everybody there together. Our duties are to initiate, promote, and assist in the implementation of programs general to community beautification, to review, make recommendations regarding the aesthetic suitability of public buildings, facilities, or projects, and to recommend ordinances. We try to direct local officials toward the needed enforcement actions and prepare, publish, and distribute studies and reports which will advance the cause of improved community appearance. You see our membership is made up of 4 members from Fayetteville itself, Cumberland County, and the remaining of us come from the small little towns. The qualifications to be on here is a resident of the jurisdiction making the appointment. Special training or experience where possible, appointments are to be made in order to maintain a majority of members who have had special training or experience in design fields such as architecture, landscape design, horticulture, city plan, or closely related field. And our meetings and staff support meets on the second Monday of each month, and city and county both provide support staff. And those guys do a wonderful job. The 4 members appointed by the City Council also serve as the Fayetteville Tree Board, and the duties are to promote public tree protection measures within the city and to help the city maintain its designation as Tree City USA. And I think it's running about 18 years now since y'all had that designation. We were busy this year. We had 9 regular meetings and 1 special meeting. We reviewed plans and projects associated with the baseball stadium in downtown Fayetteville. That's really cool. Y'all have done a great job on that. I received information on the need to clarify the city's current banner policy. I held an Arbor Day ceremony and sponsored the 10th Annual Community Awards Program. With the Arbor Day ceremony, we partnered with Cumberland County Schools, Cumberland County Parks and Rec, Cumberland County Cooperative Extension Service, E. Miller Elementary School, and of course Parks and Rec here. This helped the city maintain its designation. And here's a few photos of that cold March day. It doesn't look too bad there. The kids are really receptive of this. They had a blast. Some kids got up, read poems, and read little things, and we had one child got up and read it in Spanish for us. And there's Councilman Wright.
That guy. Shot right.
If I could back this thing up, I would. Did you see how the kids engaged really well in this? And we were talking tonight. We had a meeting prior to this, and we're looking at doing another one this year. It'll probably be on Ireland Drive area. These were our little spokespersons from the E. Miller. And there's where it got really cold. And you can see Councilman Wright back there doing a Facebook Live, I guess. On the scene reporter, there you go. The kids really got involved with this, and I think we planted a total of 4 trees that day. And there's a group shot of all of us. And we sponsored the 10th Annual Community Awards Program. This goes through April and August 2018. The award ceremony was held August the 9th, 2018, and the ceremony was co-sponsored by the Fayetteville Apartment Association. In 2018, we had 54 properties were nominated in 15 categories, and here's a few photos of the winning properties. Well, there's a graph there, and it just shows how many we get nominated. It's a joint effort between the board as well as the public in doing these nominations. There's a photo of the winners, and here's some of the properties. And this one here is actually in Godwin. It's just a little community just north of us, not far from the Harnett County line. Mm-hmm. These 2 folks there, the houses were built at the same time, and it was a hard choice. So they both were winners. Mm-hmm. Regency Apartments, existing multifamily. This is a winner of the Best New Multifamily. It's a non-residential property, the office of Village Green. Olivia Center, Winding Creek Road is a new non-residential. These folks are out of Stedman, and they won the best revitalization of a residential property. Three Colonies, best housing development or neighborhood. They've got a real pretty entrance. The Simmons property is in an unincorporated area. I think that's around Hope Mills. And best non-residential landscaping project. This guy really helps Bragg Boulevard. He's done a really good job. And Person Street. It looks really good.
Yeah.
Not past the flat. It needs to go beyond the light poles a little bit, but we're getting there.
Come a long way, sir.
Yes, it has. The Gina Jackson property, restoration of historical residential. And this is a historical one in Hope Mills. And another gateway in Hope Mills.
I like that.
And the Special Recognition Award, they deserve something. They have been through it. So we especially recognize those folks for the lake.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Persistence.
Yes.
Haven't given up.
And if you want more information about us, you can go to our website and you can view properties from the past. And that's
All right. Well, Mr. Lantham, we do have one question for you.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Mayor, thank you. It's not a question, it's just a comment to thank you for your hard work, and understand this is your last year, and
Yes, sir.
you've served for 10 years. And hats are off to you and the staff and the committee that works with you. You guys are doing a great job, and it really means a lot to the city council, the city, because we're developing an image of our city, and you guys volunteer and work so hard throughout the year to make that happen. So, Johnny, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I echo that. Thank you for your work. All right, council, we will look to receive the last two reports, items 7.01 and 7.02. So entertain a motion to receive both reports.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
There's a motion by Councilmember Arp. There's a second by Councilmember Hare. Any discussion on the motion? All right, council, look to you for votes.
Dawkins, Green.
Dawkins Green.
Madam Clerk, that's unanimous with Mr. Dawkins? Yeah.
Yes.
You got green. All right. Item 8.0 is the public forum. This is a time that Fayetteville residents may have input and a voice in what goes on in their city. Due to policy restrictions, the forum will not last any longer than 30 minutes, and each speaker will be limited to only 3 minutes to address the city council on issues related to the city of Fayetteville. Individuals wishing to speak at tonight's public forum should have signed up with the city clerk prior to the start of tonight's meeting. If you are here to speak on items that may be on tonight's agenda under public hearing, we ask that you reserve your comments until that public hearing. So when your name is called by the clerk, we ask that you would come to the podium. Please clearly state your name and home address for the record. Then you will see the light located on the podium change from green to yellow, and that means you have 30 seconds left to speak. When you see the red light, that means your time has expired. Again, due to policy restrictions, we are unable to extend the given time. With that being said, Madam Clerk, if you would call your first speaker.
Mayor, we have 4 speakers signed up for this evening. Our first speaker is Miss Kate O'Brien.
Welcome, Ms. O'Brien.
Mayor Colvin and City Council members, I'm Kate Rackley O'Brien, 6136 Ramsey Street, Fayetteville. I would like to express my most recent concerns about city trash pickup. First, I would like to say that recycle picked up by Waste Management is picked up promptly and on scheduled days, and they don't take off holidays. They are very dependable. Our city trash pickup is another subject. We have been given a trash sticker with a hang tag with holidays, and it's been about 2 years since we've been furnished one of these stickers or hang tags. Your scheduled holidays printed from the website started in January and ended in November at Thanksgiving. December was not included at all. The Fayetteville Observer printed on Sunday, December the 23rd, 2018, it showed that city offices were closed Monday and Tuesday. Trash collection and yard waste would be picked up on Wednesday. Monday's newspaper printed the same thing about trash collection. We are on Monday's pickup, so we didn't pull our trash or recycle to the curb for pickup. City offices were closed Monday and Tuesday, which was Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I called the trash collection phone number on Wednesday. I got a recorded message that was for the 4th of July schedule. We had several holidays after the 4th of July. This was not a current recording at all. I talked with someone in the city office. I was told that trash was picked up on Monday. I told them about the recorded message and the newspaper printed on Sunday and Monday with the schedule. Why can't the city furnish each household a sticker for the garbage can collection or a printed schedule for the entire year? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. O'Brien. Great points. We'll get some answers to those questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor, our next speaker is Miss Harmony Sells. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hello there.
Okay, so I was here just a few weeks ago, and I was talking about taxi situations. I've been a permitted taxi driver for Fayetteville inconsistently for 14 years. I am pretty much number 3 on the longest people that's been out there. And, well, there's a lot of things going on that still haven't been resolved. I came up here to pick up a response letter, but the security guard person was calling me names. So it didn't go very well. She kept calling me a name that wasn't mine, and I said, well, that's not my name. But I had spoke to, I think, Jennifer about it. So regardless of that, nothing was resolved from the last situation. And there's, I just got a report today that there's been a taxi driver at the airport for 13 hours and hasn't moved. They're just sitting there. Last year, I think I almost died from carbon monoxide poisoning from sitting at the airport, just, breathing in all that air on a constant basis. Say you fall asleep, you don't even realize it. And, next thing you know, you wake up and you're like, oh, gosh, anything could have happened. Our feedback online is not good at all. Our management is kind of bossy, and they are not really partaking in a lot of things that need to be done, and which is where the city seems like they could come in and kind of help us small people talk to the big people and get things moving along a little bit better, instead of people just sitting in a vehicle passing out for hours at a time and no one caring and nobody even knowing. You know what I mean? And so it's just it's kind of gut-wrenching how, people are losing their homes, they've lost everything. The vehicles are running at about 400,000 miles on the odometer. So pretty much the taxi industry in Fayetteville is becoming extinct, and people need us. You know what I mean? People need us a lot. and people are very, grateful that we're out there at 3 o'clock in the morning at the train station or the bus station. They're very grateful when those people need us. It's becoming more rare and rare. It's very rare that people really need us, but when they do, they need us. So, yeah. But they have my information again if somebody could help, because there's no taxi council anymore, and we really need a taxi council in order to get anything, or else we're just going to get wiped out. So.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mayor, our next speaker is Mr. Clayton Kaminska. Mr. Clayton Kaminska. Okay, our final speaker is Mr. Iman Iranimi Muhammad Smith.
The Honorable.
With the name of God, the beneficent mercy, greetings. The mayor got it right. Honorable, everybody. I am Imam Iranimi Muhammad, the Emir of Fayetteville, the Emir of North Carolina, Muslim community, Vietnam vet. Bringing to your attention, we're very pleased and the growth and development, and we want you to know you can get in touch with me at 2700 Murchison Road. We do have security issues throughout the city, throughout the state, and the police department said if I find any terrorists, report them to Fort Bragg. That's part of my work, in case you didn't realize that. We had a attempted murder at the mosque there on Rayford Road about 2 years ago. But you will notice I do not allow them to come on Murchison Road at Masjid Omar Ibn Said. If I see anything, we deal with it immediately. I'm the founder and the first builder of Masjid Omar Ibn Said. Before all these others, brothers and sisters, my beautiful brothers and sisters came, were for the Fayetteville State students. I also wanted to mention we are extremely thankful and grateful to Almighty God, Allah, the Lord of the worlds, for the tremendous growth and development of Fayetteville and Cumberland County. We're supposed to be celebrating. We have the beautiful baseball stadium being built by myself and some of the great work, help and assistance from President Barack Obama and the North Carolina Legislative Black Caucus, as well as the Highway 295. And Fayetteville State Professor Ellis has been tremendously great. Chancellor Willis McLeod, do not forget about him. We were part of that effort and development, which redeveloped downtown Fayetteville after Hurley got started. He got rid of the gang, he got rid of the alcohol and the prostitutes. We came and got rid of the rest of it and cleaned it up. And when it all fell dead, that was part of my work to get the Legislative Black Caucus to get money and bring it back, including the train station. Mayor Dawkins played a role also. He was the one who came forth and said, we got to get a train going from Washington, D.C. to Fayetteville, Fort Bragg to Wilmington. The land for that train daily from Washington to Fort Bragg to Wilmington, the land has been bought. It's already paid for. And then the train gets to Wilmington, comes back to Fort Bragg, and take these generals and soldiers back to the first Pentagon in Washington, D.C. We definitely will not forget and do not forget our second Pentagon, which is here at Fort Bragg. We have more officers and generals than any place in the United States except the generals in Washington, D.C. Thank you for your time, and we'll let you know when Ramadan gets here. We want everybody to do something. Don't forget Fayetteville State now. We need our students back.
Thank you, sir.
We have no further speakers.
Right. This time we will move to item 9.01. Consideration for the Cumberland County's proposed sales tax distribution interlocal agreement. As Mr. Hewitt makes his way, as you know, he will give some background to this, but the Sales Tax Committee met last week. I'd like to thank the members of that committee, Councilmember Waddell, Cullerton, and Mayor Pro Tem for hard work in going through this arrangement. So, Mr. Hewitt, if you would kind of give the citizens some brief background and on this item.
Thank you, Mayor Colvin. Tonight, we have a short presentation, and Tracy Broyles is also here, as anyone knows, folks who worked on the committee with Mayor Colvin. Tracy has been kind of our expert on this as well for a number of years, and she's here to also help answer any questions that you might have. Sales tax distribution, as you have been, as we've shared before, the county commissioners are authorized to choose between two methods to establish the division of sales tax proceeds in the county and among its municipalities. You have a per capita distribution, and you also have an ad valorem distribution method. Per capita is based upon the countywide population, and ad valorem is the sum of ad valorem taxes levied by the county, each municipality, and each taxing district. The changes in each taxing authority's tax base and tax rate affect the shares, and so as the tax rate in Fayetteville may go up or go down. If it were an ad valorem distribution method, it would also change the distribution of sales tax as well. This is one of the decisions that solely rests with our county commissioners. They may change the method for adoption of per capita distribution or ad valorem distribution. They must do it by adopting a resolution no later than April. Sales tax in Cumberland County have historically been distributed using the population distribution method. As municipal populations have grown through annexation, the county's relative share of sales tax distribution has declined. And in 2003, an interlocal agreement was reached between the county and each one of the municipalities by which the county agreed to maintain the per capita distribution method, and generally each municipality that annexed population during the term of the agreement was required to reimburse the county and other municipalities 50% of the sales tax distribution losses that resulted from the annexation for all subsequent fiscal years. And so when the city completed its Phase 5 annexation, and the population went from, I think, about 160 to almost 200,000, or was it 140 to 200? Then the county's share under the per capita would have went down, and so the sales tax interlocal agreement was designed to take in mind those swings that occur because of the city's, at that time, very large annexation as well. This agreement, again, started in 2003 and has been in place through continuation of the agreement since that time, so it's going on about 16 years. The original agreement has since been modified and has been extended, and the current extension is set to expire at the end of this fiscal year, which is June 30, 2019. The city and the county exchanged extension proposals throughout 2018 in anticipation of the pending agreement expiration, with options including extending the current terms for as many as 4 years, extending the agreement for 10 years with reimbursements for the county capped at FY18 levels and reimbursements to the other municipalities reduced and then eliminated at 5 years. That was some of the work that the council recall we did late in the fall and early in the winter, and shared that with the county. But one of the things I would say as well is that this agreement, again, is an interlocal agreement. It is not one that's solely between the city and the county. It is one that is between the city, the county, and the municipalities as well. And as such, at a called meeting of the Mayor's Coalition on December 18th, 2018, the county presented an updated proposal to amend and extend the agreement. The county has also said that a January 31st, 2019 deadline for action by all municipalities in response to the proposal is needed. And last week, the City Council Sales Tax Committee met to review the county's proposal. And again, the committee is comprised of Mayor Colvin, Mayor Pro Tem Moan, Council Members Cullerton and Waddell, all of whom unanimously voted to recommend the county's proposal for action for the full council. We have reviewed the proposal and received clarifying feedback from the county staff regarding the proposal for the 4-year extension. Key provisions of the proposal include terms of the agreement extend for the first year, FY 2020. FY 2020 then serves as the base year for calculation of future reimbursements. Reimbursement percentages for FY 2021 to 2023 are set at the 2020 levels, and the initial reimbursement amounts will be calculated using the set percentages and the total revenue distributed during the fiscal year. Any calculated reimbursements due to the county in excess of the FY 2020 base year level will be reduced by 60%, and any reimbursement amounts due to other municipalities will be reduced by 50%. Similar adjustments apply should sales tax revenues decline. The proposed amendment should result in the city retaining a greater share of the sales tax revenue. The risk exists that with the change to lock in the reimbursement percentages, particularly related to the annual population adjustments for Fort Bragg, but however, the consensus of the Council Sales Tax Committee was that the risk of significant reductions in Fort Bragg populations over the next 4 years was low. A decision by the county to select the ad valorem basis of distributions would significantly impact the city's revenues. Based on a comparison of the two methods for FY18, it would be expected that the city would lose in excess of $5 million a year. That would require an ad valorem tax rate adjustments between 3.5 to 4 cents to make up the potential sales tax losses. Council direction is needed to respond to the county's proposal to meet the January 31st deadline. And again, the Sales Tax Committee's recommendation is to accept the county's proposed interlocal agreement and request the city and county staff to jointly document the agreed upon processes for calculation of future reimbursements. And with that, we have a lot of backup information that was in your packet, and myself, Tracy Burrows, and the members of the Sales Tax Committee will be happy to try and answer any questions you might have.
So, do have a question from Councilmember Jensen, and just for the general public, I know Mr. Hewitt gave you a lot of figures and calculations and equations. But just to summarize this, the county is given the sole authority by the state to determine which method they're using. This was the best case scenario that I think, according to what the Sales Tax Committee could devise out of this. We would like to thank the county for considering a way to do this with the least amount of impact to the municipalities, as well as give a little bit more of the revenues for future growth as the city continues to add to its transactions. So with that being said, I'll defer to Councilmember Jensen. You have a question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is, I'm seeing that there's a 4-year term to this agreement. So just for the knowledge of the public out there, so in 4 years, we can be right back to where we were. And my question is, I'm not disputing the agreement at all. I don't want anybody to think that I'm going along with the committee, and I appreciate the work that they're doing. But I guess my question is there a reason we're just doing it for 4 years? Because if we're doing it for 4 years, we're going to have to start having another committee meeting in a year and a half.
The city in our proposal to the county had suggested a 10-year term. We felt that would give us the certainty we needed. However, I think that the county, to look at all of the various options, felt that a 4-year term made the most sense. A 4-year term as well is beneficial, given some of the concerns that staff highlighted to the committee, that if we in fact have major swings in population at Fort Bragg, which could change our population numbers, we have a locked-in base of FY 2020, and then based on that, we would only have about 3 years before the agreement would be set to either be renegotiated or renewed. And so a 4-year term, based on the history that we have with the county of a 15-year term for this type of agreement since October of 2003, staff felt comfortable recommending it to the committee.
And again, I'm not disputing it. I guess I just want to go back. So we've had this same agreement for almost 16 years, but every 4 years we were having to extend it? How many times have we extended it?
Not sure, at least 3 times, but it also was modified. Whenever we had the incorporation of Eastover, I think there were some modifications there. I'm thinking at least 3 times.
Okay, so the agreement, it would come up and we were just basically extending it?
Yes, ma'am, largely
Okay.
extended it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Chris.
I just want to comment, I think 4 years is probably the optimum time this go around. You have to remember that every 10 years we get the census. So in 2020, there will be a census taken, and that will determine what the population is in the city as well as all the municipalities, which will obviously have some impact on the sales tax agreement if it's still in ad valorem at that time, okay? So I think the 4 years is apropos, if you will, because with the census in 2010, it'll be 2011 before we really know what the figures look like. And so by 2021, I mean, and then by 2022, we'll have this thing worked out to the extent that we know how many people live in the county and how many people live in the city. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. I did have a couple questions before we go to vote. Did the attorneys from the city and the county work out the legal wording? I know Ms. McDonald's not here tonight, but do you know what the status of that is? Is this a final agreement that's in our packet?
Yes, sir. This is the final agreement, the agreement that came over from.
Evidently, they've worked that out. And two, I see what the early termination provisions are under two scenarios. One is if the law changes, of course, that changes any agreements to be consistent with the law. But two, it says that if the governing bodies of any municipality shall withdraw. But so what does it look like in the event, what binds the county to it? Is there any type of provision that a different commission could change it? Is there any kind of notice? I know before in the previous agreement, they had a certain notice. They would give us notice, a year prior or something like that. I didn't see anything about that in there. Are you familiar with that portion?
And we'll scan it really quickly, sir.
It's on page 6 of 16.
It is, on B under that says, if a governing body of any of the municipalities should take action to withdraw from the agreement, the county's Board of Commissioners may elect to terminate this agreement at any time after that action is taken. So it really, I don't, at the moment, and Brandon's looking as well, I don't see that it says that with 60 days notice or something, but the earlier guidance was that the county commissioners elect this once a year, at least by resolution in April, and that gives everyone enough time, but and if I see something differently in it, but I think that is the governing language that is in the agreement at the moment.
But it points to municipalities in this statement you just read, right?
Mm-hmm. Brandon, did you?
Mayor, the agreement does not have a termination provision in it except in the event that the General Assembly changes the law or if one of the municipalities withdraws. The county, it appears according to the language we've been provided, is giving up the authority to unilaterally withdraw from the agreement.
Okay.
If that answers the question.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Culleton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you know, I think the committee put a lot of hard work into this. I think it afforded us the opportunity to have some control over this as opposed to getting that control outside of our hands. And the 4-year term, although at first seemed to be a little short, as Mr. Hewitt, City Manager, pointed out, it allows us some cushion, because although we've arranged a situation where we're going to retain some of the reimbursements to the tune of millions, there is also a negative effect that's potential in that the reimbursements go down, we could owe. So if that should occur, which is unlikely, this allows us the opportunity to have a minimal impact on that side of things. So I think it was a good choice that we put this into place now. And if there is no further discussion, I would make a motion to approve this as recommended.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Councilmember Culleton, for the motion. Is that second, ma'am? Second by Councilmember Waddell. Any further discussion on the motion? All right, Council, I'll look to you for your votes.
Dawkins, Green.
So, Madam Clerk, that is unanimous. Motion carries. All right, look for a motion to adjourn, Council.
So moved.
Second.
You all have